Hey guys, it's me back with another video. We have a new patch 2.03, and there are many changes. I think many good changes. And let's get right into it. I decided to use an add-on to get the entire screenshot of the page and highlight the best areas. You can see in the statement here, the price increase, her prices increase of devour and dismiss in tandem with the frenzy price increase should also put some tougher economic decisions during the pistol round. Basically, before this update, REYNA was quite OP in pistol round. She could buy uh, she could buy all of her charges along with frenzy, or she could use frenzy armor, and her healing ability would recharge the armor. So it was quite OP in my opinion. So they changed that. First, what they did is they decreased the number of charges from 4 to 2. That's a huge change, huge nerf technically. And the cost has been increased to 200, but there is a buff. Basically, if REYNA damages any enemy and in the last 3 seconds, then the enemy drops the soul orb, even though the enemy is not dead. So you can basically shoot the enemy and instantly run away, like a jet, essentially. But you have only 2 charges, so you got to use it very carefully. So it gives REYNA a bit more thinking skills. The REYNA player has to think properly regarding when to use the ability and stuff, because it's now limited to 2 and the price is increased. Now the frenzy's price has also been increased to $500 from 400, which means players will no longer be able to buy armor. So if REYNA goes for a frenzy, she would have $300 left. Instead of buying 3 more like earlier, she can only buy 1. So it'll be quite interesting. For Yoru, they buffed him a little bit. Gate Crash, which is the e-teleportation ability. Earlier, Yoru players would not know exactly how long it goes, how long it's visible, how long it's audible and stuff. So, it is visible. They changed it. Gate Crash now displays the range at which the tether can be seen by enemies. Seen by enemies while moving on the minimum. And the range that enemies are able to hear when he teleports will also be displayed on the minimap during your teleportation. So you would know exactly how far the enemies can hear and be prepared. You will also know if enemies can see your tether and whether they are camping on it or not. So that's pretty interesting. And dimensional drift was also changed a little bit. While in dimensional drift, Yoru's minimap is now visible, so that makes it more easier. And enemies within Yoru's vision range will now be revealed to ally minimaps as well. So this is quite good. You no longer have to ping constantly. You can detect them by going in front of them. But another change, dimensional drift can no longer body block enemies, so it's going to go right through. So this is also a good change, I think. Technically, you can distract the enemies at least, even though you cannot body block. It's a good change for in the sense of balance. It might be a bad change for Yoru, but who cares? It's a balance change. It's a good change. And for Brimstone and Phoenix, it's not any balance change. It's just an audio change. Basically, when lot many things were happening, and when you are like going around smokes and stuff, it was extremely difficult to know if a Brimstone Molotov is in front of you or if a Phoenix Molotov is in front of you. This happened to me quite a lot many times. They changed it. The audio of the incendiary's lingering fire zone will be easier to hear when other actions and sounds occur nearby, so it's more easier now to distinguish. Weapon updates, quite interesting. Marshall, I don't know if it deserved a buff. I think it was a pretty good weapon and I used it at a regular basis. They changed it. They are focusing on the Marshall as a hit and run identity, not a static camp and shoot like a sniper rifle. It's meant to be an agile hit and run identity for the weapon. But they also want to sharpen the Marshall's strength as a sniper with a movement speed buff when zoomed. So now Marshall's movement speed when you're zooming in is now at 90% of the unzoomed movement speed, compared to before it was 76%. So that means you can run a lot when you're zoomed in to the weapon. But the price has been decreased to 1,000 instead of 1,100. So it's a very cheap weapon. And the zoom magnification has been increased to 3.5 from 2.5, which is also a good change. Anyway, Next, the Stinger has also been changed. Its price has been increased from 1000 to 1100. Its full auto fire rate has been decreased from 18 to 16. It's huge nerf. And full auto fire now reaches the maximum spread at 4 rather than 6. So, like when you're firing the bullets, the fourth bullet you will reach the extreme end of the recoil rather than 6. So it makes it more difficult to kill enemies, essentially. And they adjusted some vertical recoil curves for full auto. Recoil climbs more aggressively past the third bullet. So it's essentially a very difficult to control recoil. It's more close range weapon than it was before. Before it was like a good medium range weapon. Now it's no longer the case. It's a pretty good short range weapon, not a medium range weapon. The burst fire has also been changed slightly, adjusted the vertical recoil to be more aggressive after the first burst. So when you're burst firing as well, it's going to be difficult to kill. They also added RNG, more RNG on the bursts after the first one, like a classic right click error that they introduced in the previous patch. They improved the recovery time as well, though. So this is small buff. Improved the recovery time on burst mode from 45 to 0.45 to 0.4. Frenzy, as I said, price has been increased to 500. And escalation, I had already made a video regarding it. There isn't much huge changes that they have said regarding it. The only thing that I had to note is that it's a limited time mode. It will go away at some point of time, but they are still planning to keep it as long as it makes sense depending on your engagement. So you can probably ask for them and they'll probably exceed the limit right now. It's limited time game mode, so it has to go away at some point. Anyway, next is the competitive updates. If you are AFK for more than 6 rounds, then you will result in a penalty of 8 rank rating points. So you're going to lose RR if you're AFK. I don't think this is enough, but they did their testing, so I might not be the right person to judge. And this is the reason for why they are introducing this. And act rank badges will now be on your highest rank instead of your 9th best rank. So they told that the awards at the end of the act would be dependent on the highest rank you've achieved. And now they have also changed that the act rank badges will be based on your highest win. So if you have reached immortal once, you will have immortal act rank badge. You will not have any other act rank badge. So that's a pretty good. It's a pretty good change. And some quality of life changes, the death sequence improvements and updates. It's technically a nerf, but I won't be able to tell exactly how big of a nerf it is. It's a balance change, that's for sure. Basically what they did is that when you're dead, the moment you die, it takes some time and then the scene goes to black, right? Well, at that short period of time before the scene goes to black, you would still be able to get information of enemies around you, so you could know that you can know if enemies are going towards you or away from you. It was more easier to know that. Now they changed it. Fade to black start time has been decreased from 1.75 to 1.5. It's a small time gap change, but you're still able to have 1.5 seconds to see if enemies are going towards you or going away from you if possible. So, and time spent on the full black screen has been increased from 0 to 0.25. The overall time of death is the same, a death cam, but they have changed the fading sequences. They've also improved some camera movements. Apparently it caused some hiking issue for some players and they fixed it. Bugs, there are 4 of them which I had to mention, which others are also pretty good changes which I haven't really seen before. The bugs I haven't seen before. Anyway, the first one is that they fixed issue where Yoru's decoy had slightly different sounding footsteps than Yoru himself. We know that Yoru's footsteps sound more like Brimstone's, and is that meant to be an issue rather than a feature? So does this mean his decoy footstep sounds are completely different now? I'm not exactly sure. They just stated this, so I'd like to take a look at this in game. It's very important. And they fixed issues where players already affected by near sight would momentarily see inside the smokes that should instead near sight them. This happened to me once, but there is another bug similar to this that I don't think they have fixed yet. I had tested if it's working or not like 2-3 weeks back. With Viper's smoke, the smoke orbs activation, when you're activating it, there is an animation between no smoke and smoke. So if you activate your smoke, you are still able to see for a small moment of time before the smoke completely comes. And if anybody flashes you in front of you, you usually do not get blind if you activate the poison orb. Because of this, the small gap, I have made a video on it, I'll link it in the description. Basically it's like a flash hacks or something. I'll leave the link to that in the description, and I hope they fix it. Another issue that they fixed is that some cipher cams were like fixed and they weren't able to move. Like when you're inside the cam, you weren't able to move. They fixed that now. Locking view direction has been fixed. Another issue that has happened to me a couple of times, you would usually get stuck using the orbs or planting the spike. It would like make you commit. If you press 4, it's making you commit and force you to plant. That was an issue that I had faced once in the game, and even the orb one. So I'm glad they fixed it. So that's the entire patch, quite a huge patch, and I'm shocked that this 2 more weeks for Act 2. So what are they going to do for Act 2? There's going to be huge changes, I think. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I had to mention the patch notes for you guys. It's a pretty interesting change. I really like the Reyna's nerf. She was extremely OP. No one looked at her as OP, but I'm really glad Riot did. I've been telling every one of my friends that Reyna is OP. She deserves a nerf. She's not in a balanced stage. I'm really glad Riot has looked at the numbers rather than the community's look, because the community right now hates this change. I am really happy with this change. So yeah, let's see what happens in the future. I am I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I hope Viper gets changes in the next patch, which is Act 2. See you guys later.